started tearing it apart. You know. Anyways, we've seen herds. Oh, on the road? Yeah. I'm talking about animals that herd. Like I remember one time I was in Saskatchewan and right in front of me there was this herd of antelope. They're the fastest running animals in North America, antelope. And they roam in the prairies. That's where they roam, not in the bush. The elk are quite a ways up north, but the antelope don't. You can look at images of the antelope. They're quite beautiful. And so I was watching them, and they, like in a herd, they jumped over the ditch. Then they ran across the span of the highway, which was just 2 lanes. And then there was another ditch, so they jumped over that ditch. I also saw on my first walk a herd of bison. They were standing like this, and like there was no, there was no fence, no barrier. So I decided I'm going to take a nap. I'm tired. So I went like this, and they're like you. Just pretend you're a herd, and you're watching me. And I was just going to lie down on the ground. Was going to go real slow, and they were transfixed with this. And so it was coming down like this. And I went to about here, and I made a little bit of a jerk. And then the alpha male went. And then he took off. And he took off. They all took off. And all that was left, but they went over the hill and there was nothing but dust left. Wow. And I went, wow.
You want to go to sleep near them?
Yeah, I just want to sleep near them. Yeah.
Why?
Well, I just felt more with not with the motor cars. This is my element.
You get felt threatened.
What's that?
You get felt threatened.
No, I didn't feel threatened. They're pretty shy.
No, that.
What they felt, yeah, that's why they took off. They're very edgy, you know, and because they're like in the category of like being killed, you know, they're like beef cattle, almost like that. And my experience is that cows do hang together, and when I'm chanting, and sometimes I'll chant golden, and then they all stop breathing, and then they come forward, you know, because they're milk. There used to be touch handles by humans. So they'll come right to the edge where there's a fence. And they're expecting to get some grass. So I'll always get some longer grass and feed them like that. Right? But if I was to go buy a farm of, let's say, beef cattle, they would also be alerted. And oftentimes they just go and just take off in the other direction because they're not used to that human touch. And so they herd, whether it's the dairy or the beef cattle, they herd together. And so Krishna, the reason why I'm saying this is herds with his cow herds. The cow herds, which is the boys. And then Krishna also herds the gopis. They're playing the flute. The full moon night in the Sharad season, he calls it. One time I was doing something, and we were camping out in Toba, and it was that night, the Rasa Yatra. And it was close to the end of it, and there was some reddish color. It was so okay, so Krishna does magical things. This is another one of his Leelas, one of his pastimes. And we're not talking about hers here right now, we're talking about God who wants to bring his people and with him. Yogamaya, you're coming with me, and there's going to be one of my entourages is coming. There will be demigods, there will be demigoddesses, there will be all kinds of people that Krishna's used to having around him. You know? And they will take the form of cavalry people. And there will be men and women, and they'll help me with this pastime. They'll assist me in the beauty of it all. And so that's how Krishna operates. That's how he operates. And he created this Maya. Varasha Shakti Evidivinayu Shviyati. From him comes all these energies. And Yoga Maya is one of these energies. Yoga Maya can also take a personification form. Just like Yoga Maya appeared before the Lord when Kamsa was ready to take that baby girl, and dash her head against, just the thought is shocking, against the stone floor. And she actually slipped out and then became Yoga Maya. And so then she chastised me, you rascal, nonsense. So now, the story of Mother Yashoda with the stick is interesting. Stick, rope, creating fear, and they would call that child abuse now. They would call it child abuse now. And it makes me think of a film in 1962. They made a lot of good movies. One was called The Miracle Worker. This is based on a true story about Helen Keller. Does anybody know Helen Keller?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. She was a child somewhere in New England and near Boston, I think. She was just disoriented. She had all kinds of issues, autism, that kind of thing. Autism. And if you actually see the film, it's very touching, very touching. And she just goes and helps herself. She couldn't see. And she was not coordinated. And she'd go to the dinner table and just kind of help herself, And so the parents couldn't handle it anymore. They said, this is it, we've got to bring somebody. So they brought in Annie Sullivan. So that means like this Irish background. A woman, very stern kind of woman who helped this little girl who's like an animal, like a wild animal. So if you see the film, I really recommend you see it. It's very clean, it's very touching, That's history. So there's a scene in there where it goes on and on and on, and the cameraman apparently he just stayed on. And still a bird who was supposed to help this little girl, just trying to turn a wild animal into like a human being. So shit. It almost seems like child abuse, but she's grabbed the girl and there's scene in there where she's trying to get her to use a spoon, and the girl will take it out. And then she give another spoon. Oh, sorry. And then she goes until she just got tired. And then there's another scene where she was just helping her to talk, get her vocal, her jaws moving. And there's one where it was like almost like a mystical word, like a mantra, And she brought her to, can I get my pen back? Oh, it is you. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, and so, she brought her to the water pump. That was this little scene. And it was this. And she brought her hands there and then had her drink the water and splash some water on her like this and that. And then she says, water, water. And she started to open her mouth. It was like a moment of surrender she was giving. And the girl, whoa. And eventually she got to speak. They had like braille, like that they had into braille, you could read. With your hands, with your hands. And then, so Helen Keller became a very, refined woman after that. She was like a wild. And the film is called The Miracle Worker because this Andy Sullivan was just very focused, very, let's say, what would be the word, rigid with the girl. So anyways, I think of those clips that's come to my head when I think about a mother shows the her child, Krishna, and she's getting very frustrated. As Annie Sullivan was getting frustrated. And the descriptions are there. She was sweating like anything. Her hair was getting undone. Her sari was getting undone. And she was just shaking and kind of just frustrated. And the way that all translated in Krishna's mind was, she really cares for me. She really wants the best for me. She loves me so deeply. And therefore I surrender to her. And so the rope came and all that kind of stuff. She got frustrated with tying the rope, which was always 2 centimeters too short, something like that. Right? And she gathered more rope, and Krishna would have to behave. It would be nice to, I don't know, it might be abusive, but it would be nice to see us do that pastime one day. What do you think?
Yeah.
And just go at it. If you see this film, it just goes on and on and on and on. It's very emotional. Very emotional. Okay, so out of love, parents do all kinds of things. Parents raise their voice in order to correct. Parents grab a hold of the child. And Prabhupada actually said it's okay, even in the Gurukul, you can hold a stick if a child is acting up, but you never use it. It's just threatening. You know the story of Narada Muni, like he had lots of different disciples, shishas, and one of them was a snake, like a cobra. And kids took advantage of him because he was very soft and he learned nonviolence. Right? And so kids took advantage of it. They threw stones at him and everything like that. And then he come to Narada and he complained, people are just abusing me. And Narada said, well, that might go on, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't defend yourself. How do you defend yourself? You just put your fangs out like this. You don't have to strike or dart. So that he applied that. His snake disciple applied that. And then the kids left him alone. He was being bullied. And I was speaking to a father and his daughter yesterday, and the father was saying at school, his daughter gets bullied. She gets bullied, she gets mistreated. And I said, why? And I said, because she's not into the boys, and she's not into smoking. She's not into all the nonsense that young people do these days. And so that was her fault. That was her, let's say it was area that some kids felt should need to be corrected. You gotta be one of us. You gotta be wild. Because in most cases, many of us are born to be wild. In the 60s, there was a song, sorry to put my pop culture out there. Born to be wild. But this girl, she was born to be wild. Born to be wild. Yeah. And so Krishna is born to be wild and mild. When there was accusations against him that Krishna was going to the butterstock in people's homes at night in the middle of the night. So Krishna covered himself with being shy, and because that is one of his qualities. One of the 64 qualities. He's shy. Shy means protection, and it's not a bad thing for people to present shyness. We also say that about women in the Vedic system. They're trained to be shy. They're they're going to be protected by a member of the family. And because if you're not shy, then you'll be open and vulnerable. One father in our community said, yeah, my daughter, she's 13, she's starting to do like, you know. And I told her, don't talk to your father like that. So she's showing signs of being loose, if I can use that term. So shyness is a great quality to have, honestly. It is. And, as opposed to pride. There's room for both. There's room for both. Now the topic, the theme here is love and affection. And Mother Yashoda had extreme love for Krishna. And there's nothing comparable to it. When the devotees first start to come out with paintings of Mother Yashoda, it's like Mary and her bambino, Jesus. And that was very popularized in the Catholic tradition. I think the devotees got the idea, well, let's do this. I'm not sure how long that's been going on for artists rendering his mother and Krishna together. But when you see that, it does, pull at your heartstrings a little bit, right? Oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that sweet? So why, if people say God can't be like that, well, you have to just address it. Is God limited or unlimited? So, well, God's unlimited. Then, God can be a child. He can be anything he wants to. He can change his form at will. That's the nature of Krishna. He's Yogeshwara. Yogeshwara Krishna. That's the very last shloka from the last chapter. Yogeshwara Krishna. Krishna is the supreme mystic. Arjuna is the archer. Somebody said. The one who holds the bow and arrow. But it's Krishna who does mystics and pulls mystical things. When I hear the word mystic, I think of not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's deliberate. And I think of misty, or mist. When there's a fog out there, your vision is obscured. So when it comes to Krishna's, you say feelings for his devotees for Krishna, it is a little bit foggy. The concept at the beginning. But when you practice Bhakti, it's like the sun coming in and burning out all the fog, so that everything becomes clear. And that's what the Krishna Conscious Project or process is all about, getting things clear. Do you remember, is there one place in the Bhagavad Gita where we talk about different levels of ignorance? Can you think of the examples?
Yes, laziness. Baby covered by wool.
Yes.
That is the worst. That's the worst kind of ignorance.
Yeah.
The one before that is the mirror, the dust on the mirror.
Yeah, that's right.
And one is fire covered by
film.
Yeah.
And then the other one is
fire covered by smoke.
by smoke, yeah. Now, in our temple here, we have people who don't know what to do with Windex. They just take some dirty cloth and they smear, So, well, that's not clean. Can you see your image? Whether it's a mirror or a window, because we're not. Everybody here is pretty good at it. Right? Let me talk about it.
Screw it.
When it comes to mop the floor, clean that mirror. We're not practical. We don't have any practical skill. Can you cook? Can you boil some water? I don't know how to do that. So a mirror can, if you don't have clean cloth or sometimes newspapers are the best thing to use against the mirror, but people don't have newspapers anymore, so they have their first step buy cloth, buy material, get those squeegee things. But to get a clear image, you have to remove the filth, the dust, the dirt, and this is one level of, you could say, what a good dispatch of ignorance, if you want to get a picture that way. Ignorance, you said, a child in the room, very covered up. Can't even see. You can see a mirror, you can see smoke, and you can't see a baby. The baby's tucked inside in the mother's womb, and that's the way it is. So, the Canto 10 of the Bhagavatam is there to make things clear about who is God and who is Krishna. There's no better example of Krishna in this regard. Now, the details of Vishnu are not as pronounced as we find out about Krishna. Even Ram, no. Krishna, let's say, the endless accounts of the Lord's Leela pastime are unlimited. And his relationship with the devotees. And sometimes people do ask, why Krishna? Why not Ram? Why not Vishnu? Okay, so we'll answer that quickly and then we'll open up the floor for your discussions. I usually tell people, well, Krishna is important because he gave us philosophy. He gives us whereby we can get free. Ram didn't actually do that, although he liked it. Yeah. Vishnu didn't write the Bhagavad Gita either. It is, they want to say that Vishnu's God, Krishna's sort of an issue from Krishna, but it's not exactly that way. And we check with Bhagavad Gita. This is where people need to start reading. Krishna says, I'm the source of everything, all that is matter, all is spirit. Says, I'm the Father, I'm the Mother. I'm the seed-giving, Hum Gita, Bita, the seed-giving Father of all living entities. So, that's it. You want to argue with Shastra on these things, these points? So, somewhere or other, we're able to accommodate all of these different personalities. But Krishna is really special. And that's what Prabhupada gave to us. Out of love for the world, humanity, he gave us Krishna. He could have brought Krishna, but he didn't. He brought Krishna because Krishna's Stu Bhagavan's the source of all. What time is it?
It's 8:20.
So I think it's a good idea if we open up some discussion here. Okay? I am waiting
What part is this catchment?
for what? Angelo. It's a place called Angelo.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a place kind of in the middle off the Trans-Canada Highway. It's called Angelo.
So you took that highway that crosses,
The Trans-Canada Highway.
the same highway that crosses your right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I actually saw, when I was the first time I walked across Canada, the second time actually, I saw Angelo. It was the fourth time that I saw this river. And it was kind of like, the earth was shaking at that time. Yeah, but that's where you find it. You'll find elk in places like that. You find deers all over.
How do they survive in winter?
How did it go in the winter? I think they're like deer. They're grazers. They manage to find something.
Oh,
I know that even in the hard freeze, they'll start to eat twigs from the trees. It's like deer do that too. They'll go after the apples, but if there's nothing else, they'll start eating the branches of the trees.
they can survive.
They can survive. They do survive. But they're really cool looking, and they're really special. So, thank you. Yeah, they have some kind of horse. You should have
There's all the picture.
antelope. Again, the fastest running creature in North America.
Antelope? Antelope is awesome.
What?
Antelope, right?
Yeah, antelope.
It's like a beaver or
Oh,
something.
it's,
Yeah, kind of like, that one bovine. Let's have a look at one of them. Yeah, here they go. Well, that would, the top would be an African one.
Yeah.
This one would be like antelope. I think this is more like a North American.
Yeah, some antelopes in India as well.
You have them there too. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, they're really amazing. They're quite amazing. And they'll run for right now and stop. Go ahead and look at it. And they just run and stuff. I think it's, they're beautiful. They're lovely creatures. I'm just trying to look for the North American breed. They have a nice color, like a tan color.
just hiding the North American.
You don't have them?
Just hiding North American.
Okay, so Bruce, any other questions apart from answer question or Saskatchewan? What about our birthday boy? Do you have any comments? Here?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they do have like a T-lock mark, see? But I'm not sure if that's, yeah, that's a nice tan color. They are beautiful. They're vegetarian. I just look at There's a place in Saskatchewan called Antelope. You can look it up. Wow. Yeah, see, they're beautiful, aren't they? And they have these are their weapons.
Maharaj, there's also a place called Red Deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just came across it. So like there are places named after animals.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have a community there. Red Deer.
Yes, I came across it. Instagram.
Yeah. There's also a place called Moose Jaw. There's a place called Medicine Hat. Interesting names. Another place called Toronto. And people say Toronto. They put the T in there. One of the devotees who lived here since Michael Ray. Were you around Michael's time? Michael Ray. He told me once he went to the border. He says, "So where are you from?" And because he's so linguistic, he was good in English. I'm from Toronto. And because he said it so quickly, they didn't believe that. He said, "Okay, come on." But if you say Toronto, then you're followed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was young, sometimes they would pronounce it Toronto, Toronto.
Toronto.
Americans sometimes.
Toronto.
So is it the Americans who call it Toronto, or?
They don't call it Toronto. They're not that divine. Toronto. Toronto. It means you're an approved Canadian if you say Toronto. Anything else other than the geographical issues that have been brought up? Okay, good. We meant to actually have a listening dharma, and we do once a week. Usually on Tuesday, Mondays, and